We have the Monster side of the table and the Celsius side of the table.
Well, see, here's the catch. John didn't know what Chance drank, and so that Monster was actually for you.
That's for you.
But then I said, well, Tyler's probably going to stop and get a Monster anyway, so just give that one a chance, and we won't tell Tyler.
Is John here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny boy.
And look, you walked in with a Monster.
Good.
We should try and get a sponsorship by Celsius.
No, there's a lot more Monster drinks.
Well, if they line up the logo to where I could drink it, but the logo would also be.
Yeah. Oh, mine.
They're clearly not
Mine is.
thinking.
Look, I can do that.
Yeah.
They're clearly not thinking like that.
Oh, that's good.
What needs to happen is you need to come sit over here, and Chance needs to go sit over there, and then all of our logos will face in the right way.
Oh.
No, well.
Yeah.
Is this us filling time because we don't know what to talk about with NAB?
NAB.
My favorite thing was multi-dying, learning that their serial numbers for their product model, the model numbers for the Honey Badger line is HBDC.
Yeah.
Stands for
Don't care.
Honey Badger Don't Care.
If you don't know what that reference is, YouTube, Honey Badger, don't care. Don't do it around your kids, though. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's disgusting.
I really was happy with Ross releasing the new switcher, or new license options for the Carbonite.
Oh, yeah.
Hypermax.
Yeah, the Hypermax, just because I think there's been so many times where we're wrestling with speccing and a Carbonite, and then we ended up doing a Carbonite or doing an Ultra 60 just because we didn't feel like, the amount of inputs we were going to have available.
Yeah. This time last year, I remember us talking at length about we wish we had Acuity, because there's certain people that want Carbonite, but they need some of the functions of the Acuity, but the Ultrix Acuity didn't quite hit it, and we started drilling into why.
Yeah.
And, there's still things that Acuity does that Carbonite doesn't do, but at least it ticks the box, 90% of the boxes that we had for the input count, the scaling of MEs, the keys, all that stuff. And so it's like, it fills the gap, but we'll see.
I think,
put it in.
It's license options and being able to reconfigure it. I'm not sure how many people actually do that. That's always a huge marketing thing, I feel like, but it is pretty cool that you can do one event with it set up in a certain way and then reconfigure it before another event.
Well, and they say you can reconfigure it with one button.
Yeah.
On that, there's not a lot of people doing cloud production, I think, in our world, but I thought it was really cool to see them do their platform manager and cloud. I forget what the service was, that you can basically spin up remote instances of Expression and Carbonite.
It almost felt too good to be true. Like, I was glad I was with you just because of the amount of cloud research you've done, and you just kept poking and asking questions, and it's like, wow, okay, this really is in the cloud.
Well, I only ever thought of it because I was like, if I wanted Expression as another clip player or some random graphics, and we need, like when we would rent Expression servers, and it's like, I don't need this to be real time. If it's like 1 second behind, okay, great. It's doing Chiron style graphics and maybe doing some splashes or something. It doesn't need to be real time. I was like, it would be so nice to just have some gateways, spin up an instance of Expression for a special event, spin it down. But then I started looking at the cost and the complexity of creating your own VMs and installing the software and licensing and all that. And it was just annoying. So it's cool to see like that's an option now.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think the cloud production thing's gonna be huge as a cornerstone way of operating, but for that kind of stuff, it's like I need something for a special event and I don't want to have to rent hardware. I see people throwing in a handful of SRT gateways, whether they be their new card or high vision stuff or whatever, and then having
what do you mean a new card?
Their SRT gateway card.
It was cool that they released that.
I didn't know that.
An open gear.
SRT
Yeah, I think it does 4 channels, right?
Before? Oh yeah, I think it does.
Wouldn't it be sweet if they came out with just an Ultrix blade for it?
For SRT?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
So how many SRT feeds can you get down 1 gigabyte port?
It just depends on your
compression.
Yeah.
So you're also going to be limited to your ISP bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly. Which most people are going to put a 10 meg or 5 meg. So it's not like if you got gigabit and you're dedicated for broadcast, it's not.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with it.
But you have to be dedicated.
Yeah.
What was your question, Andy?
The NDI option now for
Ultrix.
Ultrix.
Well, that was last year.
Was it?
I want
I
to say
think
last year.
they added more to it this year.
Okay.
I feel like I remember hearing them say something about it in the keynote.
Maybe last year they committed to adopting NDI more.
I think last year was the Dante thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe last year Carbonite Code?
Yeah, it was.
It's a mod card, so it goes in the Mod X.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, they do have an NDI card now. It's the blade that has 4 modules in it.
And then the up-down cross was on any card, right?
Yeah.
You can put stuff on it.
In the Ultrix?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had that.
Oh, but they did bring.
What else do they have on that?
HDMI and DisplayPort cards.
A bunch of different things now. They keep evolving it.
And then it's just HDMI. I don't think it's DisplayPort yet. I think they
not
announced
DisplayPort.
DisplayPort.
But it's like a
output.
mini. Oh, it's only output.
Yeah.
Input would be so useful for media server.
That's what I told.
Depending on what
Imagine.
resolution it would support.
Yeah.
What it would be?
DisplayPort inputs
Yeah.
for gateways.
We just told them that for feeding LED walls.
Yeah.
That was Andy.
Media servers.
Too.
Media servers and LED processors.
But the
DisplayPort right out of media server and then DisplayPort right into a LED processor.
Versus a bunch of
That way you can do, all you need is like a clean switch backup primary, or even not even clean switch, just a primary to backup switch.
But what's the purpose of keeping it DisplayPort going in?
Just clean, not having to convert it to SDI and then get it into 1080 or
Once it converts to 2110, it's an SDI at that point.
no. It's IP at that point.
Yeah.
Well,
So like you could do custom EDIDs, for instance.
can you?
The SMPTE 2110 supports any resolution. Yeah. It doesn't have to be, 3840 by 2160 or 1920 by 1080 necessarily.
I didn't know that.
So you could potentially do, I haven't proved this, but yeah.
Huh.
So it'd be nice to be able to do custom resolution for the LED wall, go right into a gateway, keep it all that way downstream, but have it running through a gateway or on the network.
Yeah.
So, but they don't have input. But Imagine was receptive, so we told Imagine with their new modules they're creating for their S&P stuff, they were receptive to that feedback as well.
We need to dig and see. There's got to be some sort of Dante gateway into 2110, right?
There is.
Yeah, I feel like I saw.
AJ.
Yeah.
They made
That's
that.
right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Saw
It's not really
for
a
that, but I didn't
gateway,
know.
but it's an embedder it'll do 2110.
Okay.
Yeah.
Embedder, de-embedder that will do 2110.
It says coming soon, but it's a Dante 12 GAM and does Dante AS67 and SMPTE audio embed and de-embed.
Nice.
Where does Aja have their stuff manufactured?
I do think they're local-ish.
I know they're based in California
Yeah.
because they're part of Grass Valley or
right.
Belden.
I hope they don't source their 12G 64x64 router parts from China.
Yeah.
You were excited about that. You were so excited.
It used
about
to
that
be
12G
here. Like
router.
it was a thing
Uh-huh.
pre-COVID. They had a 64x64 12G router.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
And then
We actually sold it to First Baptist Newcastle.
Oh.
And we went to order it, and they say, we don't have this anymore.
Oops.
Oopsie. So then that's when I went to the Black Magic one. But yeah, so it was a re-release.
Look at that. Resurrection.
But it took this many years, which is crazy.
Yeah. Watch it get cut again.
Yeah.
You're going to sell one, and they're going to go, oh, oopsie.
We don't have this anymore.
I'll have it again.
What else do we see?
Oh, we spent some time, and you dove in with the Elgato What Are You thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never
The bit focus.
Yeah, the bit focus.
It's always weird because they have like a collaborative booth. They do both, but yeah, I asked them some questions about the new Buttons app.
Okay.
Or basically control system.
Do you run it on a...
You do run it on a server, and they don't sell hardware, and they like...
I bet the
They
server has to be
bounce-
stupid simple, though.
Yeah,
they
they bounced around the hardware conversation, and this is kind of frustrating with a lot of manufacturers. They and I don't think this is a new thing, but this is just a new thing for me to explore. There's a lot of manufacturers that all their product is software, and you run it on a COTS server, or you bring your own hardware basically. So it's like up to the really be up to us to spec the hardware. But they're like, well, we'll tell you exactly what to get, but I'm still, you have to deploy it, and you have to make sure you buy the right thing. And I don't know, there's probably a decent amount of research to do there, but
Sorry, we have a guy for that. So
do we?
I think
yeah, wait, I'm looking at me.
the other thing that we did not see in person, because we went to a Sony booth to look at monitors, they released a new version of the F5500.
Oh,
F5500V with a variable ND filter.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Does it do variable frame rate?
Get that bokeh dialed in.
I don't know. It'd be nice if they finally made it do that.
That'd be the one thing. Bit focus
Okay.
system. And I learned about the components of, an IP-based video system a lot more. Just talking to Lamori and talking to all these manufacturers, but control and orchestration are sort of two different systems. So their product is aimed more to be a control system, not necessarily an orchestration system, which is where something like Magellan or Cerebrum or Home from Lavo, it would be very similar to like orchestration systems. But this is way more of a very surface level control system.
You mean like a 2-sentence summary of what those are?
Orchestration, I'm probably not the right person to do this, but orchestration is a little bit more low level control of building your databases, managing routes, and keeping up with, because IP systems are pulling together so many things from different manufacturers, and managing what's going where and how it's getting there. The orchestration system does a lot more low level, not super low level, but communication with the hardware.
Okay.
Control system is sort of basically just telling the orchestration system what to do. So it's taking, because a lot of these orchestration systems are not the best in terms of user interface and experience or customizability. Right. So control system is on top of that. A router panel, you can put whatever you want on whatever button, or custom interface, dashboard, for instance, control system.
So Magellan, the router panel that we log into, that's because since it's not a customizable UI interface, just kind of stock out of the box.
Yeah.
That would be more of an orchestration.
Yeah. Magellan's kind of a hybrid of both.
Okay.
But then there are purely control systems. So you can run Buttons, the BitFocus product, or even Cerebrum, EVS's control system, or Magnum, or View. Well, so View, Everest does a good job of this. Magnum is the orchestration system. View is the control system. So View is a very customizable, user-friendly
Do you need to run Magnum in order to run View?
Yes.
Can you run something like...
So you could run Buttons on top of Magnum and have Magnum do the orchestration and Buttons is doing the control. Anyway, I wouldn't do that because Buttons is not there yet. But the questions I was asking, it seemed like they were thinking in the right direction. Yeah. Things like salvos. I was asking about salvos. Can you do salvos? And they were like, well, not yet, but we're getting there.
Well, am I correct in thinking that you want to deploy that as a control system? You would deploy that as like a secondary control system.
I would, yes, but some people could probably get away with it as a full control system.
So you're looking for something like Magellan to adopt.
I would say if you're currently running Companion on a random little computer with a Stream Deck plugged into it, this will be a good upgrade. There's still not, I asked them about redundancy. I was like, is there a way to cluster 2 different instances of Buttons? And he was like, no, but another thing that's on the list. So it's still run it on a centralized server, which is nice. You're not running it on a local computer and the app could crash or whatever. All the Stream Decks can connect to that via the network. They're PoE, which is nice. You can plug a normal form factor Stream Deck into the rack-mounted Stream Deck. So if you want that form factor as well, you don't need a computer.
No, I didn't know.
Yes. That. Yeah. That's still USB, but it goes through that's IP based. Yeah. But their pricing model is a little bit different. It's like, I think 10 connections is the Pro one, and the perpetual license for that is like $2,400. Not terrible, but still not cheap.
I mean, it's a lot more than their $300 buttons.
Yes. Yeah, that's just the software.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see.
What's the rack unit cost?
I don't know actually.
I think it was $1,000.
No.
Yeah.
It's still not terrible.
No. And it works in connection with like any companion module or anybody that's built any module for companion. You can run that in tandem with the new software. Like all those functions are accessible
Is
as well.
BitFocus now Stream Deck?
No, BitFocus is the company that developed Companion, which was like
But Stream Deck came out with the button.
Elgato.
Oh, or Elgato came out with the
yeah.
button. So
They're with the hardware.
Are they
BitFocus is
working
doing the
together?
software. They're collaborating pretty heavily, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I mean, their booths were the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Because BitFocus is what, in our world, what made the Stream Deck what it is.
yeah, exactly.
Wasn't no one running Stream Deck software.
Yeah.
Controlling their Carbonite.
Right, exactly. So you've seen that and they lean into it, and now they're trying to capitalize. I think you have a pricing model, which is nice. We'll see where it goes.
So you want a control system to talk to an orchestrator. You don't want the control system to talk to the hardware.
Yeah,
Ideally.
yeah.
Ideally, you
and
orchestrate the
this is
system
still,
handling
like-
all the hardware communication.
I think it's still probably a bit of a gray area for
Yeah.
some manufacturers, the way they handle it. But yeah, you would still need, at the base level, you need an orchestration system.
When people are developing an orchestration system, they can see like, oh, we can add these customizable features.
When you have,
more
it's like the
desirable.
equivalent of you've got the web interface for your hardware to configure it,
Yeah.
but you're probably not going to log into that every time you need to do something with it. You want one place to bring everything together.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in the middle of that. Like for your entire IP system, your orchestration system is doing all that for the network.
Yeah.
And then your control system is managing what buttons are where and how they do things. We also saw a lot of different approaches now to, and again, I don't think it's a new thing, but just my mind was opened to the way people are approaching, like I said, it's very software heavy approach versus still hardware heavy. Lavo being the whole, everything CPU based, you bring your own hardware, but our home apps do all the processing. So essentially all the functions of like an SNP or any other gateway that we saw, like you saw two approaches. You saw an FPGA based hardware unit that did all your processing, gateway, color, proc amps, up down cross, multi-viewers, via hardware, via FPGA. And then Lavo was like, well, we can do all that on a computer, on a CPU, on just a server.
Mm-hmm.
And
They had a hardware-based solution though.
for their gateway,
Yes.
they had this cool demo that had 4 buttons. One, like 3 different production environments. They didn't really go into what each one was, but so they had one button that would shut everything down, and then 3 different production environments, and every button that you would push, it would spin up an entire production environment with multi-viewing, the proc amps, and the up-down cross that they needed. It was all pre-configured and ready to go. Same with like the whole raw solution, like one button, you can reconfigure your whole system. And they even had like some Grafana graphs that had the power consumption and CPU consumption and all that. So within like 15 seconds, you could reconfigure your whole system, which was cool. Like again, in concept, it's like, I don't know.
I know.
who's
I would
doing
love it.
that.
I want to see a real world.
right.
I even
A
think
truck,
a truck would just hit a button to reset it back to base.
Yeah.
I would love for one of them to give the world a real situation where someone's actually doing
There's probably studios, like I could see multi-use studios
Yeah.
doing talk show style or newsroom style stuff, where they have one studio and they're trying to do 4 or 5 different regular shows. I'm sure there's that out there. If there wasn't, they wouldn't develop those. Like they would put the energy into it. So I'm sure there's people doing it. We just haven't had a lot of exposure to it.
You're like a multi-venue building, and you have a control room that operates all those venues, but only one at a time, kind of a thing. Or I mean, if you were to change your focus from like having a arena venue, and then you go into like a, I don't know, more of like a ballroom style, maybe there's a different production styles needed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just maybe. But then you see the FPGA approach, FPGA-based approach to all this stuff as well. And so we had a good conversation at EVS about what's the pros and cons of each one. And really it came down to power consumption.
Yeah.
It's like the amount of power that the CPU-based option consumes It's like 5 or 6x what an FPGA based solution would do. So when you really get into it, it's like you have to think about those things.
Yeah.
You fill a rack full of Dell servers and you spin them up.
But production guys aren't the guys paying the power bill, so who cares?
That's true.
You know, that facility.
Not my budget.
Yeah,
exactly. Software-based approach. I used to always go into NAB just confused on like how does this work? But now I'm getting a little bit more like understanding of Tag was another one. We had a good conversation with Tag multiviewers and what those are for. But it's like bring your own hardware, deploy their system with a dongle or something, and then that's, their software is the product.
FPGA-based products, you can change what they're doing, but you have to flash firmware.
It's like licensing, and it's a
yeah.
little bit more configuration than just like, it's like shutting down an app and starting it up. Like that's basically what Lavos was.
Exactly.
It's like Command Q, double click on the new app.
Yeah.
It was an interesting, I don't know. I'm still down with the FPGA based approach. I don't know. I did like Lava's interface. They had the best interface, best license management.
The license management was cool.
Yeah. It was credit based. So you don't buy a license, you just buy credits. And then whatever that license, like that feature costs a certain amount of credits. So you can use those credits however you want.
I mean, I spent a lot of time at the Sennheiser booth.
Oh, really? I didn't get to know about that.
I went through the whole.
There's a couple of high density RF.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Sennheiser,
what are they calling it?
Spectera.
Spectera,
Which they're saying it's 32 in and out and 1U.
Yeah, sound devices have a similar thing.
I think Spectera is doing it in a more usable form factor for house worship.
Definitely more affordable.
Definitely affordable. I think the pricing model works to where if you're only replacing one side of the system, you're getting the other side for free.
Okay.
So like, just because I'm not super familiar with Sennheiser stuff, let's compare it to like Accent. So if I was buying all new Accent microphones, I would be getting my ears for free.
Okay.
Like that's how good the pricing is.
Oh, wow.
So there are a few caveats. They don't have a handheld out yet. So that's coming at the end of this year. So we still have some time before we can actually use it. And two, they say 32 by 32, but they mean 32 by 32 channels. So that's technically for us, it would be 32 by 16.
Because stereo.
Ears.
So 16 ears will work for almost everyone.
Yeah.
But we 16 stereo ears. It is. Yeah. But I have people that I have worked for before who have more than 16 stereo ears.
Yeah.
So in order to get that to work, there is a Cascade port that is also not available yet, feature-wise, that is coming. So it's coming. It's going to be cool. It's here. You can buy it, but it's not set up for what we need. The other huge thing that was very cool to me was that all the RF is over cat cable.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you just run, and then as once the Cascade port becomes a real thing, you cascade it. You have 4 antenna ports, and then you get 4 more antenna ports, and what you're doing with those antennas are all configurable.
So what's the distance? Like how long can you go? 300. So the same as like RG8.
No, I would never take an RG8 cable that far. Even our nice stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
The low loss 10 gauge RG8 cable that we use, I would 200 would be the edge of my comfortability, probably.
Nice.
I think we probably ran it that far and still have had 0 problems, low power on everything. I know it's worked really well, but yeah, I think that's
that's nice. One less type of cable to have to order.
The sound device stuff was really cool. I just feel like the guy who is going to be running all the outboard gear and kind of an audiophile. It's called an audiophile. Audiophile.
Yeah.
File.
Yeah.
That's the guy that's gonna want the sound devices.
Okay.
So it's very cool. It's It's doing some of the same stuff, but also very different stuff than what Specterra is doing. I think just in the house of worship market that, the large buildings that we're working with, I think Specterra is going to be a game changer.
Yeah. I liked what I saw with the sound devices stuff. I don't know enough about RF or wireless to ask the right questions to be able to poke holes in it. Because to me, it all seemed kind of too good to be true.
I'll be
It's
honest,
like, what sacrifices are we making to make this happen?
From an integrator, the cat cable for the RF.
I mean, that's a huge thing.
So, for instance, the ARC. I took Chris over there, and they have 4 large auditoriums on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And we pretty much came to the conclusion that he can throw these in a rack centrally located to all those rooms, which they have a really nice rack room that is pretty centrally located. Daisy chain it a couple times and just run antennas from that space. And if it goes past that 300 feet, you do have fiber options. And the fiber is not RF over fiber, which is a very expensive thing to do.
Right.
It's just
basic fiber.
Layer 1 fiber converters.
Yeah.
So it's really affordable to get into fiber and then back out.
Nice.
And now he can coordinate the entire campus. Through Specterra, which would get him far more. And then what's cool is like you have different compression levels to determine how many transmitters you can fit in the range, and they're sharing the RF and the TX sit on top of each other, which is really cool.
Could you, in theory, then run your antennas through a standard network patch? Like, how's the loss in terms of?
Through like a.
Like, I wouldn't do that, but
like a network
if I wanted to throw down,
absolutely.
Wanted to throw down a new antenna for rental stuff.
If it's using layer 1 fiber converters, that means it's just this layer 1 switching protocol, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not
sure. Why not?
Yeah. I mean,
if you say so.
Yeah, I would imagine it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the same thing as the Giga Ace. Like Giga Ace, you can technically put into a switch, and
so does that mean Sennheiser's making a comeback? We're gonna start selling more Sennheiser now?
I'll be honest. I've spec'd it on 2 or 3 jobs now, and the pricing is quite competitive. I have a meeting in 4 minutes.
Cool.
And we need to let him set up. Yeah. Can we take 2 minutes to just roast Bagwell?